You want to know who's going to disappoint in fantasy football? Well, you came to the right place. I got 7 names. I'm avoiding at all costs. I would not draft them. They are going to be, unfortunately, disappointments if you do decide to draft them. That's just my personal opinion. Do these guys have some upside? Yes, but I think the negatives outweigh the pros, if that makes sense. Now, first player is not really a player. It's the whole quarterback position group. If you want to find a way to get value in fantasy football, this is the way to do it. You don't draft a quarterback in the top 8. Pretty much that's my first name. Avoid the top 8 quarterbacks because there's so much value later with all starting quarterbacks. I love pretty much anybody here. Dak Prescott, Trevor Lawrence, and Liam Cohen's offense. Jackson Dart, Brock Purdy. You could take a little risk. You could pick your poison between any of these guys. Kyler Murray has a lot of upside in the Vikings offense. Baker Mayfield, fully healthy season. Tyler Shuck, 100 new weapons around him. CJ Stroud, contract year. There's so many, and Cam Ward in the second season with a new offensive coordinator and Brian Dable. There's so many names later that I would rather have than the top 8 names. So that's my first name. Now we'll alternate running back, wide receiver, but the first name, these are all going to be big names. Achane. Everyone loves Achane. He's a great talent. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm just saying for where he's going right now in fantasy football, I believe he's the RB8. Yeah, so he's the RB8. I just think that's way too high. Look at his season last year. 1,350 yards, 5.7 yards per carry, 8 touchdowns. This is in the Mike McDaniel offense. Keep in mind, Bobby Slowick's the new offensive coordinator for the Dolphins. If you don't know, he was the Texans offensive coordinator back in 2023, Stroud's rookie season. He had a great first year. Second year, offense became too predictable, and they had to let him go. So, also a good thing to note, quarterback in terms of CJ Stroud having a good year didn't really have anything to do with the running back. 2 running backs in the Texans offense in 23 were bad. But the point here with Achane to say do not draft him, just take a look at the Dolphins depth chart and tell me there's a reason to draft him. If you can argue, yes, Achane has so much upside, please go ahead and draft him. But look at this offense. Malik Washington, Jalen Tolbert, Tutu Atwell. Who's going to help him? Achane is the only threat in the offense, and that's probably the only reason people are drafting him, right? Oh, he's going to catch 100 passes a year. I would be careful with that because if you look at Achane, he is the only threat in the offense, which means defenses are going to be game planning for only him. And also, new offense, new offensive coordinator, you lost Jalen Waddle. There's too many variables there to where I'm just staying away. Mike McDaniel got him so many open carries. Expect kind of something similar to 2024, just lower receptions. If you think he's going to have 60-plus catches this year, go ahead and draft him. But I'm thinking more around the 40 to 50 range in a offense where Bobby Slowick doesn't really target the running back. So, yes, could he get the ball, but I mean, you also have to think about it this way. Malik Neighbors, I'm going to have him on here too, but talking a lot of players. Malik Willis, he is a running quarterback. He's going to take away vulture goal line touchdowns, not something you want for Achane, right? 8 touchdowns, I think that's way too high. If you want a projection on where I think Achane's going to finish, it's not great, right? 230-ish carries. I think 1,100 yards is a fair assessment. I'm still giving him 5 yards a carry. The 6 rushing touchdowns, I think that's honestly being a little nice, especially the 3 in the receiving game. He's going to see about, 43 catches, 60-some, 70-some targets, sure. Maybe he catches 50 balls and I'm wrong, but I think he's probably around that 10 to 15 RB range. And if you go ahead and look at the other guys going around him, like I just personally love a lot of these other names in you got Achane at 8. I think Hampton can be better than him this year. Kenneth Walker has upside with Patrick Mahomes. ACL injury, they're going to have to run the football. I would even think about Jeremiah Love. That's a tough one because he's a rookie in that offense. A lot of people are saying they don't like Jeremiah Love. I don't have a problem with him. I think he's going to be okay. But for me, I'm out on Achane. I just feel like there's too many negatives here. Just to kind of reiterate, he's not going to have the rushing season he did last year. Mike McDaniel's gone, new offensive coordinator, new weapons, new quarterback. That's the reason I'm out on him. Not only that, but the quarterback can run. So just taking all that into account, he's going to have a backwards receiving season, a backwards rushing season, probably not going to hit the numbers he did last year. So the ceiling is capped for me because this is an offense that is not going to score a lot of points. They're not going to be competitive. And I just think Achane just falls off the cliff. And I just don't think that's a good spot to draft him. Player number 2, we got Jaxon Smith-Njigba, another kind of controversial name, but I mean, just look at the season last year he had. A great season. 2025 breakout, 120 catches, 1,700 yards. But look at the situation on the surface. The Seahawks offense lost a lot. That's the wrong player. Okay, I didn't have the Seahawks offense pulled up, but if you look at the Seahawks depth chart, I'll just pull it up real quick. Now, if we look at the depth chart, Zach Charbonnet's not going to be back till about halfway through the season. Obviously, Kenneth Walker's gone, so your run game is significantly worse. You lost Clint Kubiak, and they love to run the football. Their play action was great last year. Now you're learning a new system. Yes, it's another San Francisco, Kyle Shanahan guru, but I think the bigger picture here is just looking at JSN's crazy season he had last year and just expecting the same result. A lot of people love to copy and paste. Copy, paste, copy, paste. Oh, look at last year. He's going to do it this year. Look at that. It's not how it works. So, look at that. 120 catches off 163 targets, 1,800 yards, 10 touchdowns. The way he could replicate that, but it would be so hard. New system. You lose your running back. You have a worse defense now. So, a lot of teams are going to be keying in on Jaxon Smith-Njigba. I feel like if you make the other team beat you, you're fine. As long as you don't let JSN beat you, I think you're okay. So these numbers are going to dip from last year. It's probably going to be around 195 catches, 1,500 yards. And if you're okay with that setback of a season, sure. I'm personally staying away. I would look at the other guys in his area and say, hey, can these players be better, right? JSN is going third. I think St. Brown is a safer play. CD is a safer play. Jefferson off one of the worst seasons of his career. And then the two guys ahead of him, obviously, I love. So I just feel like he's in this weird spot to where he had such a great season last year. They kind of don't know where to rank him. I don't think he finishes as a top 5 receiver. It's really that simple, that it's a new offense. And it's just, I'm skeptical he's, I think that's just common sense. Like, if you're coming off one of the best seasons ever, it's unlikely that you're going to replicate that. I mean, just looking at his historic seasons like Saquon Barkley's 2,000-yard season, obviously it's going to come down from that. The question is how much, and are you okay with drafting him as, 5th overall pick? I'm personally taking Justin Jefferson over JSN. I know that's a hot take, but I feel more comfortable with Kyler Murray. Jay Jetta's off a bad season, barely had 1,000 yards last year with JJ McCarthy. Am I taking the risk that JJ might be the starting quarterback? Sure, but I'd rather take that risk knowing what I get in JJ. Not that JSN's not any less talented, but it's really just a matter of volume. And I think Jefferson's going to get more volume than JSN. All right, I spoiled the next one, but James Cook. This is a tough take, but 309 carries, 1,600 yards, 12 touchdowns. I mean, just look at those stats last year. Unbelievable. The past 2 years, to be honest with you. He broke out last year. They ran him. And historically, running backs that have over 300 carries, they don't necessarily have the best season replicating that. Also, yeah, it has to do with the same thing that I said about JSN in terms of replicating that 1,600-yard season. But it's more about the receiving value for James Cook. James Cook is not somebody that's going to, push you into the top 5 running backs because he's a crazy 50, 60, 70-plus receiving back. He's not. He's a great running back, and that's what he's known for. 12 touchdowns, a little bit less than 2024. But the one main reason is that he led the league in rushing last year. And if you look at who the guys are that led the league in rushing last year, there's a 36.8% decline in fantasy production the following season off of players that have led the league in rushing over the past 25 years. You could call it a misleading stat. I don't really care. This is, yes, including injury. So if you don't include injury and you just take the guys that played at least 8-9 games, you take away the season-ending injuries because injuries are a part of the sport, 27% still in drop-off in production. So I am very, very just weary about drafting James Cook, expecting him to have this crazy big explosive season. Again, looking at this team, Joe Brady's going to give him a lot of carries. I'm not doubting that. But mainly replicating 1,600 yards, he's probably going to have closer to 13. You know what I'm saying? So let's go ahead and look at my numbers for James Cook as to why I'm out on him. It's mainly the fact that he's going to have a down rushing season. I have him currently, he's ranked as the RB12 for me, so not horrible, but looking at where he's being drafted, RB6, Does he have that potential ceiling to return that, round two, early round, late round one, early round two investment? Like, I don't see a world where James Cook is a top 4 running back. You know what I'm saying? So he's going to have a down season rushing, similar receiving numbers, and I think I'm being generous for the touchdowns. He's probably going to have 13, 14 touchdowns, and it's going to put him around the RB 10 to 12 range. Right now I have him listed as the RB 12, but I mean, just looking at his ceiling, right? If we're just going to take a look at last year's numbers off of Fantasy Pros, right? This is PPR rankings. You look at Cook, great season, 302 yards. Keep in mind, he was a good 60 points behind Jonathan Taylor last year. 60 points behind the RB4. So, and he didn't miss any games last year. So it's just, for me, it's a pinnacle season. You look at his stats, it is the best. He is coming off the creme de la creme, top of his career. I know he's only played 4 seasons in the league, but the fact of the matter is he's going to be going down backwards. And I know I'm probably going to get a lot of backlash for all these names because there are a lot of big, crazy names. But if you're looking at the numbers, is he going to do that again? Maybe. But I think it's more likely than not that he's going to have, 270 carries, maybe even less than that if he misses, some time. I mean, that I don't want to say that, but injuries are a part of the game. And you don't really have much of a handcuff on the Bills considering they run other 3 different running backs in terms of, if it's not James Cook, who is it? I don't know. Ray Davis. There's a bunch of guys. So 1,600 yards is going to be hard to replicate, and that was the RB6 last year. He's going as the RB6 this year, so I'm expecting kind of numbers like this. Maybe not 200 carries, but he'll probably have 1,300 yards, maybe 16 touchdowns, but he's going to have, 30 catches, 300 yards, and that's just not something that I think is going to be working out for you if you draft him in fantasy. Also, look at the guys going around him. Genty, I think I'd rather Ashton Genty over him. Hampton, I think, is probably going to be better than Achane, Cook, and Brown. So that's a hot take too, maybe. But yeah, just looking at everything, I'm not too sure. So 2 names left. Going to go over this one pretty quick, but Drake London, he's the wide receiver 7. And I really don't know why, right? Tua Tagovailoa, sure, he can force feed on the ball. I don't see him competing with guys like Justin Jefferson, guys like A.J. Brown, guys like Nico Collins in a bounce-back year. Hopefully Stroud can prove himself in a contract year. If we're looking at Drake London, he could have a solid season. I'm not doubting that. 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns, but he's not going to have his 2024 season. That's just not something I'm seeing. I think he'll have very similar numbers to last year, maybe same touchdown. That's kind of what I'm expecting. I know he only played in 12 games last year, but I would expect this same stat line just because it's a new offense. We don't really know what the quarterback's going to do, whether it's Tua or Penix. So it's just such a question mark, and to take such a high-risk draft pick on a guy who's going in the second round, it just screams trap to me. So I'd rather A.J. Brown with one of the best deep throwers in the league in Drake May. I'd rather George Pickens, although there are 2 wide receivers on this team going in the top 10. I'd rather take my chances on an offense that I know is explosive in terms of an offense that I don't trust and that I don't know, right? So that's really what it comes down to for me. I'm not big on Drake London at all. He's a great player, but he was pretty inconsistent last year. Not really his fault, but he just didn't get targeted. So I'm out on Drake London, and those are the reasons. Wanted to keep that pretty quick because the last player, Jonathan Taylor. Again, all these are going to be pretty big names going in the first 2 rounds. I mentioned the quarterbacks earlier as well, but Taylor's just something that's I'm not feeling this year, okay? It's mainly the carry numbers, the workload that he's carried over the last 2 years. He's 29 years old, so he's getting up there to that running back peak age. Is he going to be able to consistently average 5 yards a carry like he did last year? First half of last season, absolutely unbelievable with Daniel Jones. The run game, the play action, nobody could stop him. 15 touchdowns in the first 9 games of the year. Back half, 3 touchdowns. So obviously Daniel Jones got hurt. We know that. But for me, it's these 2 things right here. 300 attempts in 24, 323 attempts in 25. That's 625 plus attempts over the last 2 years. That's a lot of wear and tear on a running back. And to think he's going to have 18 touchdowns again, and knowing he doesn't have crazy amount of receiving value, kind of had the most he did in his career last year, which was surprising. But again, he is the only running back there. And again, if you're looking at the stats from last year, he was not, I'm actually surprised at how close he was to Gibbs, but to have that ceiling, to be close, to be in the conversation of McCaffrey, Bijan, Gibbs, Taylor, he does not belong as an RB4. That's just my personal opinion. Like you're putting this guy in the contention of Bijan, Gibbs, McCaffrey. He is not in the same category as them. He's a great runner. He had a chance to break LT's record until Daniel Jones got hurt and then he couldn't do anything. But he had like three touchdown games through the first half of the season, and you wonder why he had 15 touchdowns. He had 5 games with multiple touchdowns. So I'm not hating on Taylor. It's just look at the other guys around him. Do you think his value is actually that much substantial? I'd rather take a chance on Genty in a new offense where he has receiving upside. He's going to be on the field. I don't know. He's going to be a 3-down workhorse back. Not that Taylor isn't, but again, off a down season, Taylor coming off one of the better seasons of his career, tied for the most touchdowns like in a season. So, I mean, 18 touchdowns, 1,500 yards. I mean, his second best season was his second year in the league. And this is his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is going to be his 7th year in the league. So that's a little alarming to me, that the fact that he's 29 years old, he's getting up there in age, he's probably going to average around 4.5 yards a carry. And I don't think he's going to be a top 5 running back. That's the whole reason I wouldn't draft him. All right, we'll end it with JT's stats. I have him as the RB11 this season, 276 carries, a decline from last year, 1,300 yards. I think that's fair. I give him 4.6 yards a carry for anyone who's wondering. Again, I think that's pretty fair, 13 touchdowns. He's not going to have 18 like he did last year. And I just think there's other guys that are going to perform better than him. Omar and Hampton, Saquon Barkley, Kenneth Walker, Christian McCaffrey if he stays healthy, Jahmyr Gibbs, obviously, Bijan Robinson. I think he's not in the right tier, seriously. Like, if we're looking at just the guys that he's going around, seriously, I don't know how you can consider him to be a top 4 running back this year. So I think he's going way too high. I'd rather take my chances on a wide receiver in the first round. If you're in the middle rounds and you're thinking about JT or Justin Jefferson, take Justin Jefferson. And then on the back half of the first round, you could take Kenneth Walker, you take Saquon Barkley, you can take Omar and Hampton. You could take so many good running backs in the second round. Why take the risk on Taylor, right? So he'll probably still be safe. Probably still finish top 10, top 11, whatever it is. But his decline, as you can see, it's a little bit off the screen, but it's inevitable. 18 touchdowns is not sustainable. So I'm just looking at the other names around him. I'm much more comfortable. Kenneth Walker. I mean, Derrick Henry's decline is also inevitable, but Breece Hall has some upside. Genty. I'm sorry, but top 4 just seems like way too rich for me. A little bit longer of a video, but thank you everyone so much for hanging out. This has been the 7 players to avoid. I am not drafting them at all costs. Hopefully it'll save you a lot of time. Hopefully you agree, don't agree, let me know in the comments. I know it's a lot of different takes, hot takes, bold predictions kind of thing, but we're going to keep this content rolling out all season long and stay as bold as possible. Thank you all so much for hanging out. It's been Mike Zanetti on the Big Z Breakdown. We'll see you in the next video.